Hi, I'm Dan Rice. I'm the president of Thayer Leadership at West Point. We're headquartered in the historic Thayer Hotel, located right on the grounds of the United States Military Academy at West Point. We're honored to host this event. This is the 8th year we've hosted this Nasdaq Veterans Day event. Happy Veterans Day to everybody. It's an honor here to share the stage with an incredible leader, an incredible veteran, and a person known just simply as Coach K. Coach K is a graduate of West Point, Mike Krzyzewski. He graduated in 1969 from West Point. He was a 3-time letterman on the Army basketball team under Coach Bobby Knight. He graduated West Point, served in the field artillery, and served for 5 years. He began his head coaching career at West Point in 1976. And in 1980, he became the head coach of Duke University's men's basketball team. He's served there for 40 years. He's a legend. He's the winningest coach in basketball history. He took that position over from his mentor, Coach Bobby Knight. As the head coach, he is a Naismith Hall of Fame coach. He is the 5-time national champion and 12-time Final Four participant. He's built a dynasty at Duke. While fans know him as Coach K, his daughters just call him their hero. His players call him the father figure, and his coaching staff and close friends consider him the ideal mentor. While establishing Duke as the premier basketball team in the U.S., Coach K simultaneously spent 10 years, more than a decade, as the head coach of the U.S. men's national team at the Olympics and the World Championship. Coach, welcome and thank you for being with us today to celebrate Veterans Day and tell us stories about your leadership experience. Welcome, Coach.
Thank you, Dan. It's great to be on, and to all the veterans out there and their families. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And all of our servicemen and women and their families who are protecting the freedoms of our country. Thank you. It's an honor. I get chills thinking about it, to be a part of this team, that military team that has served this country so very well. And today we honor all of those. So thank you for allowing me to be on.
Thanks for being here, sir. I know it's basketball season too, so I know you got a lot going on. So you're a graduate of West Point. You served 5 years in the military. You served as head coach of West Point. So West Point's obviously a big part of your life. And I know Mickey replaced your stone on your West Point ring with the Duke Blue Devil stone, so you share the two loves there. Can you tell us about how your time at West Point molded you into the leader and coach you are today?
Well, it's really the amazing foundation that I was fortunate enough to have, because my parents made it possible for me and really pushed me to go to the academy. And at the academy, we were put in positions that were complex and uncertain. They're somewhat volatile too, especially during beast barracks before you're in your plebe year. I would call them very ambiguous. So you were put in situations where you were going to change your limits and you were going to fail. And West Point taught me that failure was never your destination, and that when you got knocked down, don't get up alone, form a team. And really, Dan, at West Point and in the military, I learned what a value-based environment can do as far as achieving success. And like to be in an environment where you have an honor code. It'd be amazing if we had an honor code in our country, right? And where you could believe a person as soon as they said it. Well, I lived that for 4 years as a cadet. I lived it in the military. And so it was communication, look each other in the eye, tell each other the truth. And as a result of that value, along with trust, was developed. And then care, where we had each other's back, and collective responsibility, where we won and we lost together. And really, a fifth thing was the pride that you feel of being part of something bigger than you. And basically, I took that from my military experience and I put it for my basketball teams. And I said, you have those 5 fingers: communication, trust, care, collective responsibility, and pride. If we only use one of them or none of them and go after people like this, we're not going to hurt anybody. But if we put them together and we go like this over and over, we got a chance. and 5 acting as one. Imagine, again, if we have a team, a corporation, a country, people that want to be one, the things that can be developed. So that value-based environment and has been really the foundation. I've used that fist as a thing my whole life with my team, including the U.S. team.
Oh, that's fantastic. So obviously with the accomplishments you've had, obviously come many challenges. So, in your 40-year career at Duke and on your 46-year coaching career, what's the greatest challenge you've overcome, sir?
Well, yeah, I don't know if challenges are just the landscape that you're presented with. I think initially, when you're trying to develop who you are as a leader in your profession, there's the challenge of adapting to the new environment that you're in and learning as much as possible from the people who've been successful in your environment. It was a challenge for me to not just have my head in the sand and just do my thing, but to look at what other people are doing, not just in my sport, but in others. Once I achieved with my team success, probably the biggest challenges are the fact that you have to repeat it. In other words, you won a championship, and now they're going to ask you to do that again, and which is good, and you want to do it again. But the challenge is to do it with the same hunger, not to skip the steps that you used with your previous team to achieve what this team needs to achieve. And so you have to, if you were a car, you wouldn't have a rear view mirror. You can't look in the past. You gotta do it again. And as I get older, I have, like I'm teaching my young guys, I'm 55 years older than some of my kids on my team. I got to keep adapting to how I communicate with them, not what I communicate with, but also I have to cross bridges of improvement with them that I've already crossed. Like, okay, I know this already. Why don't you know it? And I can't fall into that. I got to give them the opportunity to do it and hopefully not take as long. If I can stop them from the process of failure in certain ways, then that might speed the process along, because the other thing is I have a new team each year. I don't have the same company. I got guys going pro after 1 year, and it's a new thing. And I, more so than the challenges, I have to adapt to the people I have and produce a system that's personalized for them in order to achieve the highest level of success. And I continue to want to do that. So when I stop wanting to prepare to win, that's when I should stop being a coach and trying to win. Everyone wants to win. Not everyone wants to prepare to win. And in order to win big, you have to prepare to win. You have to prepare to win big.
That's fantastic. That was when we were speaking earlier, and you mentioned that every year you have to start with a new team. I think that's an incredible insight that leaders can take from you and the military, because it's constantly evolving. As a high-profile coach, 40 years at Duke, you remained at Duke. You've had numerous opportunities to take NBA teams, but you've stuck with Duke, and you've at the same time coached men's USA basketball 3 times for 11 years. What was it that inspired you to be the coach of Team USA, sir?
Well, as again, the military, people who have served, this doesn't measure up to people in combat or anything like that. But as a cadet, the one thing that keeps us all the same is the oath that we take. And we take an oath of lifetime service to our country, whether it be in the military or in civilian life. And I've tried to keep up, even though I got out after 5 years because I wanted to be a coach, of my relationship with the military, but also wanting to serve. I've been involved with USA basketball since 1979. And whether it be an assistant coach, I was a head coach. I was an assistant coach on the Dream Team in 1992. And then when the opportunity arose in 2005, coach, I jumped at it. And it's been an honor. It's the greatest honor to represent your country. And when I see our guys do it in basketball uniforms, I get chills. But they're not as big a chill as I get when I see our military in their uniforms, representing us and serving all over the world. It's again, it comes from that West Point background, which is darn good, of a lifetime of service to your country, and to do it in your way. I can't do it in the way that Marty Dempsey did as chair of the Joint Chiefs for 45 years of service, or Bob Brown, one of my former players, a 4-star. I can't do it, but I've maintained a relationship with them so we can discuss leadership and continue to grow together in service to our country.
And you're obviously an incredible brand ambassador for both West Point and the Army. In fact, shameless plug, I put you on the cover of my book, West Point Leadership Profiles of Courage, and really with Marty Dempsey also in the middle, who you mentioned, chairman of the Joint Chiefs.
Well, on that team, it's a good thing you put six people, because the other guys are the starters. I'm coming off the bench with those guys. Those guys are the LeBron James and Kobe Bryants and whatever of military leadership.
So, Coach, over your career, you've coached, inspired, and led some just incredible teams, as we've said. Currently, we're in this environment which you could call VUCA on steroids, volatile, uncertain, complex, ambiguous, as you'd said. And one of the traits that helps people get through challenging times like these are the ability to pull teams together and lean on others. What team would you look to as the gold standard for teamwork, and why?
Well, it's really, there's no second. There's only one. And the most respected and best team in the world is the United States military. The most respected and best team in the world is the United States military. The United States military has the biggest motivation, and that's to protect and serve for our country. And they only believe in one thing, and that's to win and to protect. And they are continually getting better. In other words, the leadership, and I've been amazed with the leadership of our military, the humble leadership and the agility of our military leadership, and constantly learning and improving and finding new ways to win, and then to be a team with the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, to act as one in that regard. It's beautiful. There's nothing like it in the world. And, really today is a day of celebrating that, not just what has been done, but what we have, what we have. We are the luckiest people on earth to have the best team in the world supporting us. Are you kidding me? When I coached the U.S. team for 11 years, Dan, we used the military to help form a culture for USA basketball. USA basketball had no culture. And so when we started, we had the military come in to speak to our guys. Bob Brown, who was in charge of a striker unit in Iraq, came at the time as a colonel to speak to our group on selfless service. If you have to think of one thing, selfless service, that's what the military is about. And he brought 3 of our wounded warriors there. Scotty Smiley, who had been blinded in saving his striker unit, 2 non-commissioned officers who had lost limbs. And when they spoke to my team, my guys started crying. And what happened on that day was the start of our culture. It was like an infusion of feel. So my guys could see and hear, but they couldn't feel it to the level that the military feels it. And on that day, We felt it. And on that day, we started our culture. And where they were not playing for the U.S., they were not playing for USA basketball. They were USA basketball. They owned it. That's what our military does. They own it. They aren't putting on those uniforms and doing a job. That's their life, man. They're putting everything into it. And then when you get a group of people who are able to do that, then you're able to accomplish some incredible things. You know, we won 3 Olympics and 2 world championships, and we kept up a constant touch with the military. You know, like today, the President of the United States is at Arlington Cemetery. We've taken our team to Arlington Cemetery so they can feel, they could feel heroes. They could feel what selfless service was actually about, where you're willing to put your life on the line. And so many thousands of Americans have done that to protect our freedom. So we you know, that helped us immensely. And now the new coach of the U.S. team is Greg Popovich, who's an Air Force Academy graduate.
Yep.
And so, you know, people are talking about transition of power and leadership right now. What we did in transition, he spent time with me during the Rio Olympics so that he could learn about what we've done. And then as he took over, I spent time with him to make sure that we're not missing anything on that, because that transfer of power and transfer of leadership, we learned that from the military. The military does that all the time, and that's why there's not a hiccup. There are no hiccups. The best team in the world can't hiccup. It's got to be smooth, and I commend the leaders of our armed forces for putting that team together.
Absolutely. 245 years and never failed the nation.
Never.
So, Coach, in addition to doing so much for our military and for West Point, you also give back in a lot of other ways. Could you mention about the Emily Krzyzewski Center and what you done there after the center named after your mom?
Yeah, well, you know, I'm a product of my parents, inner city Chicago. My mom, Emily, my grandparents, both sets came from Poland, Krakow. And my mom was a cleaning lady. She only went to 8th grade. But she and my dad went to 2 years of high school. They believed in education, and they made it possible for me and my brother to go to private Catholic schools. And yeah, she's really, I was first generation going to college, and so while we were here at Duke, actually we're in our 15th year with the MLK. We started this center to help low-income kids. Only 1 in 5 get to go to college in our community. And right now we have 300, it's been going on for 15 years. Right now we have 300 in our K to college programs. And all of them, when they leave our program, they go to college. Most of them get full aid. And we even track them during the 4 years of college to make sure they're successful. But we've also, in the last 3 years, reached out to over 2,000 other kids in Durham County to help them navigate the process of applying to a college, getting aid and whatever. And we're just completing a $15 million campaign to enhance the center, provide more programs, and we'll announce it in a couple of months. We've already raised $18 million. And my mom would be shocked. She would be shocked. And I'd say 85% of the kids who come are first generation. And they're Hispanic, Black, white. They come from everywhere. It's diversity on steroids. You know, it's the way it should be. And that's the beauty of our country too, is to get the talents of so many cultures as one to form the U.S. culture and to do this as one. So we're very proud of what we're doing with the MLK.
Oh, that's fantastic.
I'll say Krzyzewski. Not Emily, I'll say Krzyzewski. I'm one of the few people who can pronounce it.
Well, that's fantastic, Coach. You reminded me of Scott Smiley when he came to Duke, that story you'd mentioned. Was that when he was inspired to go to Duke to get his MBA because he graduated a couple of years later?
Yeah, Scotty and I kept up a great friendship. He's a motivational speaker. He and his wife, Tiffany, have a beautiful family. They live in Washington. And, the very first thing he did, though, Dan, was those three guys who spoke to my team initially, they spoke about their service, but none of them made excuses. Like, they didn't blame anybody. And all three of them said they wanted to serve again. My guys were blown away by that. Like, one, they make an excuse if they get a bad officials call, and there were no excuses, but the fact that they all wanted to serve again. And so Scotty became the first blind officer in the military. Eventually he went to Duke to get his MBA, went back to West Point, and now is out of the military. He's a motivational speaker, and what amazing success, and what a guy. What a guy.
Yeah, he's incredible. He's incredible. He's actually one of our faculty members at Thayer Leadership, and he's done more after losing his sight than most people do with their sight. It's amazing. He's skydiving, he's scuba diving, he's incredible. Just a great leader. Well, speaking of great leaders, Coach, it's just been an honor to have you here, and we're all very, very honored to have you. Thank you for taking the time out today to honor everybody here on the call for Veterans Day, and thanks for all you do.
Yeah, Dan, it's been an honor, and keep up that the thing you started with Thayer Leadership has enhanced an already incredible United States Military Academy, and it brings in amazing knowledge and people to the academy, but also to spread the word about the military worldwide. So congrats, and again, thank you for allowing me. It's an honor to be with you today.
Well, thank you, sir. Good luck this season. We're all rooting for you.
Thank you.
So that concludes our session with Coach K. Thanks, Coach K. And before we head to our next session, I'd like to play two short videos from the sponsors of today's event, Nasdaq and Thayer Leadership.
Leadership is not a cause, leadership is an effect. There are actual skills involved with being a leader. There are mentoring skills, there are coaching skills, there are persuasion skills, there are communication skills, there are skills to create and articulate visions that can be taught and learned and then practiced by people. Leadership is a system. It's not something that an individual possesses. It's not something that I can own as an individual. It's something that emerges as I interact with others. And what emerges, hopefully, is purpose, motivation, and direction of people to work toward common goals, to achieve objectives, while improving the organization. We have to earn the right to be a leader, to pull people toward us, to pull them toward our ideas, our visions, so they come willingly to support and engage in those endeavors that we seek to achieve. But even more importantly is not the training and education, it's the development, the change of the mindset, so that the person begins to see themselves as a leader. They begin to formulate an identity of what is my roles and responsibilities as a leader. Anybody can be a leader.
Great. Thank you. We're going to head to our next session, a panel discussion about veteran support initiatives. You can access that session by clicking on the tile on your console that notes next session. If you've pre-registered, you simply have to click already registered at the top of the next page. We hope you enjoy the remainder of the event.